Sassy in New Hampshire.
Hey,
Sassy,
girl.
what's up?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Christy.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Sassy and I are
first
Twitter
of all-
friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to make a clarification,
Yeah.
you are bisexual, right, Christy?
That I am. Surprise,
Okay.
everyone.
No, I just want to be sure before I went on. So I've noticed that a lot of times when someone who is straight is in a relationship with someone from the LGBTQ community, a lot of people think that the person who's straight is gay. And that is like totally not, it's not true. So I was wondering what your thoughts are, Dan, because you're straight, right?
Allegedly, yeah. No, I am.
Allegedly.
Right? Some people would think otherwise. But yes, I do identify as straight. It's a good question, Sassy. So our relationship is kind of interesting because Christy didn't realize that she was bisexual until, if you could, Sassy, if you have me playing in the background, if you could mute that for me, that'd be great. Christy didn't realize she was bisexual until after we started dating.
Yeah, let me tell this story.
Yeah,
so,
you should tell that story.
You know, I say I didn't realize, but I really did know for a very long time, but I just pushed it down and repressed it so hard that I just convinced myself that I was straight. And I thought that a lot of the thoughts that I was having were normal for like a straight person. And they weren't. And it took, there was a time in this past October when I was really doing a lot of thinking about who I am and what I want out of life and all of that. And I had some questions kind of come up, and they really kind of made me think about, well, is this what I am? Am I really this? And I realized I wasn't really being honest with myself, and I wasn't accepting myself for who I actually am and for, who I'm attracted to. And, I told Dan in mid-October, and he was like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty early on in us dating and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was a new thing for me too. Like, obviously, I'd never had anybody really come out to me in a relationship before.
Yeah, and you were the first person that I came out to other than myself.
Yeah, and so, like, what's really interesting is I felt like I could actually be a really good support for you because I was kind of involved in these communities. Like, I've been an ally for the LGBT community for a while now, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, like, let's talk about this. Like, let's deconstruct this together. Like, where are you at right now? I would say only because I knew so many people who were like this, and because I had read so many stories and read what was healthy and what wasn't, that the transition of that happening was really clean for us.
Oh, for sure,
I can
yeah.
see how another straight person who isn't really involved in those communities, isn't knowledgeable about those experiences and kind of what that's like, could be intimidated by that. Because when somebody is coming at you and say, oh, I also like these other people now, then that's where some people's minds go. They're like, oh, well, are you thinking about these people? Well, you're, with me and stuff like that. And I didn't. I mean, so one, like, well, you would already be doing that anyway. Like, I can't stop you. Like, obviously,
Right.
this is something that's been happening your whole life.
Yes.
Right? At least from what you described it.
Correct.
So, there's that to think about. But also, like, just because I like girls in general doesn't mean that I'm just going to, like, go off and, do something without your consent, right?
Yeah.
So,
even though I'm bisexual, I am also monogamous.
yeah.
And so when I am with somebody, I'm not with anybody else really.
Well, yeah, that's something you desire, and, like, that's kind of how we constructed our relationship.
Yeah. And honestly, Dan was a really good support to me. Like he said, if I had not come out to you, I mean, I have plenty of LGBTQ friends, but I wouldn't have had as many people, or as I wouldn't have had one person that I could have just, gushed all of my feelings out at, that would just sit there and listen and be like, okay, okay, now tell me what you're feeling about this, other than like a therapist. But
And you know what? We worked it out.
we did, yeah.
And now we're here, and it's great.
Our relationship is stronger for coming out from that.
And you can do it too, folks. So that's my message.
Yeah. Only if you think you're safe to do that.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it gets annoying, like hearing or reading other people. Just the things that any straight person who ends up being with either someone's bisexual, pansexual, or however else they identify, that straight person's gay. And I said no, that's not true.
Yeah, and there's also this misconception that bisexual people in straight passing relationships are actually straight, or in homosexual relationships are actually gay, and that's not true. It just has to do with who you're attracted to. It doesn't. Red and blue is a mix as it makes purple. Purple is still purple.
Well, here's what
It's not sometimes red and sometimes blue.
What I think it boils down to is people are uncomfortable with the idea of their partners being attracted to other people or having feelings towards other people.
Yeah.
I think I think we work with the foundation that, hey, like, I can still look at somebody and say, oh, that person is very beautiful. Like, that's a very attractive person. And you can do the same thing, but we still have our commitments to each other. Like, we still, organize our relationships like that because we're honest about that. And I think if most people were honest with themselves, they'd say, yeah, even though I've been married to this person for 10, 15 years, whatever, like, they could still see someone and say, like, oh, yes, this... I could see how this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Dan goes around and he says,
"No, I don't.
Yes,
no,
this person is."
No. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying, it's healthier to communicate more honestly on these kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, we can't just pretend that attractive people don't exist. We can find people attractive, and we don't have to talk about it with each other. We can think it.
Yeah.
We can see someone and say, "Oh, that person is hot," or whatever. But we're still with each other, and we have that commitment to each other, so we don't have to go off and go be with that other person.
Right. So, there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Does that answer your question, Sassy? Did I cover all the details in depth?
That does.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for calling, Sassy. Really appreciate it. And please call back again. I'd love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
I love
fun.
Sassy. Sassy's the best.
Sassy's really cool. This is interesting because I'm not used to this show being like a dating advice. Like,
a while back, we talked about starting a dating advice podcast.
But then I was like, well, we haven't been in a relationship.
Yeah, we'd only been in a relationship for like 6 months.
What kind of like, being like, oh, these guys are like super young. Like,
nobody would take us seriously.
Yeah, why would we? That sounds so like, how full of ourselves would we be if we thought like, yeah, our relationship is super awesome. We need everybody to work exactly like the way we do.
Yes.
Right? Like, but anyway, yeah, no, I'm glad Sassy brought that up though, actually, because. It's a thing that happens. It happened to us.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've also never been the type to be super jealous either.
Yeah, and that's really helpful for me because I was the type that was jealous before we started dating.
Yeah, it's a personality thing that plays into it too. But like, all we did was really talk about it. Yeah,
we talked about it a lot, and anytime I was having some issues, I would come to Dan and I would tell him what was going on, and we would talk through it. And communication is just so important in any kind of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or anything else.
Yeah I wish other people would feel the same way about that, but unfortunately there's a lot of relationships that do end because they can't figure that stuff out. That's if that's something that's happened to you, I'm sorry for you, and I hope you find someone who you can work that out with.
And who will accept you for who you are and love you for who you are.
Absolutely.